There's been a lot of video game announcements recently. For instance, Dragon Age The Veilguard generating unbelievable excitement after the latest trailer. Many people pumped for that one, no doubt. There's been all of the DEI-approved titles that came out of the Xbox showcase. And given all of these games, you could be forgiven for forgetting that Starfield also had a showing, an update as well. Bethesda showed off the Shattered Space expansion. Now that's the one where if you're a poor decision maker like me, you may have even prepaid for it when you bought the deluxe edition or whatever it was for Starfield at launch. That's supposedly coming. It's taking longer to get out one expansion than it actually took them to release every Fallout 4 DLC back in 2015, 2016 from memory. So Shattered Space is taking a long time. But to tie us over, they were hyping up, getting excited about releasing the Creation Kit, which came out, I think, a day or two ago when they were talking about it. So the Creation Kit is here, meaning we get mods. And the real reason that Bethesda were excited they were hyping this up is because these days that means paid mods, that they can try and charge people for what are essentially the community's creations. Mods historically were created out of passion for the game. They were free to download from sites like Nexus, for instance. But Bethesda are doing their very best to insert themselves into the process and charge actual money. They try and sell this by saying, oh, now the modders get a bit of money too. But of course, Bethesda take their cut, so we know what their real motivation is. But the controversy I want to talk about, it isn't even paid mods themselves, which I already see as bad. They're trying to monetize them. It's sort of changing how the whole mod scene works, which I don't like. That's probably a different discussion anyway. What I want to talk about, which is far worse, is Bethesda trying to sneak in paid DLC on the Creation Club, trying to charge $7 for one measly quest. The Creation Club, to give some context, that is the store where you can basically pay for these mods and download them. But Bethesda, they seem to make their own content and pop it on there. So for instance, they've created a quest, they stick it on the Creation Club, and they sort of disingenuously act like it's a mod. It's not, that's a microtransaction, but you're putting it on the Creation Club to separate it so that players, the general public gamers, don't see it as a microtransaction, because they full well know you've released Starfield, it's an unfinished game, it's crap, it's got mixed reviews on Steam, which is probably generous given the quality of the game. They know if they just say, hey, here's a paid DLC for $7, one quest, they generate even more criticism than they're already getting. So instead they've snuck it onto the Creation Club, again for $7, thinking, oh, no one will really notice what we're actually doing here, because it's not a mod, they've created it, they're charging you money for it, just like DLC, but they've snuck it in there alongside player mods, thinking that no one will notice. Well, people have started to pick up on it. So for instance, on the Steam forums, the Vulture mission content is made by Bethesda and costs $7. Seems kind of expensive for one quest, and people are asking how long is this mission. I would have to reinstall it to even go onto the Creation Club store and check this out. I'm not doing it. I'm not re-downloading this game. I've got enough bad memories from trying to cope and try and enjoy the game last year. There was very little redeeming factors, so I'm not even going to test it out and any of that. But as far as I know, it's literally one quest. It's not like a quest chain. It's not like you're running around doing 6, 7 different quests and there's an ending and all of that. It's not a quest line. It is one single quest for $7. And even Shattered Space, which I personally think won't have a mammoth of content, unless they really want to fix their reputation, which I'm not convinced about, given they're pulling things like this. They're trying to sort of get some good PR, and yet you're releasing a $7 frigging quest. So I don't think that Shattered Space will have heaps of content. It might be okay, but I think that they know that most people who are going to play Shattered Space are people like me who already paid for it before Starfield came out. They bought the deluxe edition when the game had some positive sort of pre-release word of mouth going on. People were excited for the game before it actually came out. It was after that things turned to shit. And they probably know most people have already paid for it, Given the reputation of Starfield, how many people are actually going to buy Shattered Space who don't own it? Unless it's really good, they're probably not going to. So I just wonder, are Bethesda going to half-ass Shattered Space, get it out the way, and then move on to Elder Scrolls 6? If I'm totally honest, I'll be a martyr and say, I've already paid for it. I don't really care that much if they half-ass it and just move on, because I don't even think Starfield is worth saying. I'm saying that even though I've already wasted my money. Sure, it'd be great if it is good, but I wouldn't actually want it to hold up an Elder Scrolls 6 if maybe, again, coping, they can actually do something better with that. But I really think Shattered Space, standalone, probably $20, $30 when it comes out. How much more content is that going to have compared to this $7 quest? How do you justify $7 for one quest? It's pathetic, and they've only done it because they knew they could sneak it onto the Creation Club, rather than sitting there with a target on it, which it would if it was just like a Steam DLC for $7. They've tried to be very sneaky with this. Steam reviews are dropping as well, so people have started to pick up on the latest update with the whole Creation Club crap. Because again, that's its own issue too. I mean, just paid mods in general, people don't want to see it. Even though most of these mods, you can get something similar on, say, Nexus mods for free, which is what most people are doing. Just Bethesda's mindset of trying to push this, it's nefarious. People want to push back on it. So it's good to see that the reviews were already pretty much in the red, in the negative, but there's more and more going. There's a bit of review bombing happening, which I totally support in a situation where the company deserves it. Bethesda do deserve to get negative reviews because they're scummy. $7 for a quest and trying to charge for mods that used to be free. I'll say this, I could maybe have some positive thoughts about the Creation Club if the modders got all of the money. If they did that, I'd see that as good faith. It's not in good faith. It's just a money-making scheme from Bethesda to charge for something that used to be free. I don't care about, oh, you should pay the modders and all of that. Again, it used to not be about monetization. It used to be about passion for the game itself, which was fantastic. We're kind of losing some of that with Patreon access to get a mod, all of that sort of crap. I don't really like it. The good news is it seems like literally everyone is against this, even active Starfield players right now, and I didn't realize there still was anyone. I thought most of us, we played last year, we sort of tried to tell ourselves maybe it gets better. Todd said that when you hit like the 60-hour mark in the game, that's the sweet spot when it gets good. Even that was a lie. It never got good, so I thought everyone dropped off, but there still seems to be people playing, building their ships, doing their settlements. Surely you can get a better experience with that in another title, but they're still going, they're playing, but they hate this. They're pushing back against Bethesda, and I mean, the Creation Club, if you're someone who wants to support a modder, I can kind of understand that argument, that you think modders should be rewarded, but I'd prefer to see that as like a PayPal donation or something, not an expectation that people get paid for the mods. Seems like a slippery slope to me, but the $7 quest, there is no defense for that. That is ridiculous. At least be upfront about it, release it as an actual microtransaction, have it available to download on Steam, not hidden away in the Creation Club. And they know if they do that as well, they're going to look guilty because you're meant to deliver the Shattered Space expansion soon because we've paid for it. So that's another thing. They can release other content to try and charge for while everyone waits for Shattered Space. Not that we're waiting because of quality, it's just I want to see it because I paid for it. I don't know if I actually care to play it. We'll have to wait and see. I did find this on Steam. I know I said everyone was against it, but I found one individual who isn't happy with all of the negative reviews. And they've come on here to say, please delete all the negative review bombing reviews. The new update is great and the game is moving in the right direction. Did they add maps? I heard something about that. Did they add like a space buggy? It's funny because people think these quality of life improvements are going to fix the game. They are not. This game should have been scrapped during the planning stage, the discussion, brainstorming phase, because it doesn't work. They wanted to make a game on Bethesda's engine where you travel to 1 million planets. They should have realized, hang on, the way our engine works, there's a load screen whenever you have to do anything. And I'll be honest, if it was a game with like 3 planets, and there was content everywhere, like in their older games, whether it's Skyrim, Fallout, Morrowind, whatever it might be, that would have been fine. That's what I was expecting from Starfield. A handful of planets, it's handcrafted content, and there's load screens. I get it. I mean, I will say, if you enter a shop in a Bethesda game, there's more to interact with in that shop than most RPGs. I can live with a load screen. The issue is the way that they went about this with their million planets is you have to go through like 6 load screens to do anything, because you have to get in your ship, load screen, and then space is essentially a wallpaper because you can't do anything. It's totally flat, and that's another load screen. You go to the planet's atmosphere, load screen, choose your spot on the planet, another load screen. Just thinking about it, I'm glad I haven't thought about this game for some time. I can hopefully leave it that way after this, but this person goes on to say, it's very disappointing to see very vocal group of trolls and haters who are incapable of objective, fair thought process to keep trying to damage and sink this game. Starfield has almost endless potential. If that is actually true, they squandered all of it. The game excels at nothing, even if you like, again, the space shipbuilding. You can't do anything in space, so what is the point? Bethesda is working on it and will continue to do so. And reviews should be turning to positive now, not negative. Well, when they're releasing $7 quests, they absolutely deserve it. Paid mods. A lot of people already said in the past they don't want this. Bethesda keep trying to push the walls down and just do it anyway. They were asking for this. And just to clear up a misconception, because I used to think this as well, people have always thought that Starfield, from the genius mind of Todd Howard, it took like 6-7 years to properly make and craft, way more than other Bethesda games. I do not believe that's true. There is actually evidence backing this up as well. Basically what happened is Fallout 4 came out in 2015, they did the DLC, and then I believe in 2018 was when Fallout 76 came out. It seemed like a spin-off. They sort of marketed it like it was a spin-off. It wasn't. It was meant to be a multiplayer component for Fallout 4. It eventually became its own thing. But that was the genuine next Bethesda game after Fallout 4. I think they were worried about alienating people. If you remember that E3, it was when they announced Elder Scrolls 6, I believe Starfield there as well, but way earlier than those games were even really ready to be shown. They showed them off as to not alienate single-player fans, and they said, Fallout 76, it's okay, even though it's all multiplayer, you'll eventually get your single-player games. But Fallout 76 was the next Bethesda game, and because it was such a failure, they had to spend like the next year or two actually fixing it, and then they started work properly on Starfield. I don't think that really happened until like late 2019, maybe even 2020. So really, they only had like 3 years to make this. And that's why it feels like such a rushed mess. It's missing city maps, or it feels like basic features just are not there. It's because it was a rushed game. It wasn't even that they had a grand idea and just didn't execute. It was rushed. So the idea too of them trying to charge extra money for little things, get the fuck out of here. The game was a rip-off. It feels like a scam, and they're still asking for more money. The complaints about mods, this, that, making pathetically low payments for some content are not justified. What are you talking? Low payments? These mostly are free on Nexus mods, and $7 for a quest is not a low payment. They're petty, unhinged, and hateful. Don't let cheapskate freeloader trolls damage a good game and sabotage its future. You're a freeloader if you don't want to pay for mods. Delete all recent negative reviews that complain about the nonsense I mentioned above. Creation Kit is a good thing. I can agree with that. Creation Kit is good. Some mods being paid for is a good thing. It improves quality and creates more professional, competent modders. Well, is there a reason that Bethesda need to get a cut of those? Again, if it's a PayPal donation or something, I can kind of get that. But the expectation that you have to pay money to access them, that's the problem for me. Bethesda is on a good path and we should support them, not nitpick and pretend like some grain of sand is a catastrophe. They've been on a downhill slope. They are not on a good path. Whoever made such a review bomb, reviews should also be banned from these boards. They should go LARPing online bullies somewhere else and let us normal people enjoy our games. Well, thank you, Mr. Normal Person, for making your voice heard. The rest of us, online bullies, activists, as you say, will continue to leave negative Steam reviews. But what I really hope is that no one buys that $7 quest. That's the only thing that will actually make any difference here. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.